This is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I made for a punched out Thursday to die for. I started out this layout with a beautiful sketch from Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches by Rebecca Lockhart. And as soon as I saw this sketch, I thought how gorgeous it was, but I'm just getting around to creating a layout for it now. I'm using 2 different size Fiskars punches. They made 3 different sizes of this hexagon shape, and I'm using the medium and the larger shape to create some hexagons. Just like in the sketch, I want them to be multicolored, and I want them to just be the outline of a hexagon rather than a solid hexagon. I'm taking these 2 pictures of my younger daughter, Julia. These are from quite a few years ago now, and I'm mounting them on some grid pattern paper. All the papers that I'm using today are from the Vicki Boutin Color Study collection, and that is one of my favorite collections ever. I absolutely love this black piece of paper that I'm going to be using for the background. So I mounted both photos on some whitish grid paper, and then I mount them again on a piece of pattern paper. So I have the gold color for the photo on the left and a turquoise color for the photo that's on the right. And these are photos of my daughter Julia. She used to do gymnastics. She did it for hours and hours a day. And then even when she wasn't actually in the gym doing them, she was doing them at every opportunity that she had. So these are some photos of her practicing in the backyard. I used some adhesive and I attached the 2 photos together so I can move them around as one unit. And then I started in the lower left-hand corner, and I'm trying to arrange the hexagons the same way that they are in the sketch. I love the way the very bright colors in this collection contrast with that black paper in the background. There were a few colors that were a little darker and they didn't contrast as much as I would like, so I chose the colors that I thought were very noticeable against this background. And then once I had everything arranged the way I wanted, I used some ATG adhesive and I attached the hexagons down to the pattern paper in the background. And then after I had all the hexagons attached in the lower left-hand corner, I did the same thing in the upper right-hand corner. And I tried to mirror the placement of the hexagons that I'd already put down on the page. I wanted them to be symmetrical. One of the nice things about working with hexagons is they kind of interlock, fit together almost like a puzzle, and they're very easy to space evenly. I have all of those papers attached down, and then I attach the photos down as well. Off camera, I used my EK Success scalloped photo corner punch, and I punched some photo corners using the same papers that I used to make the hexagons. I was thinking of using some little pieces of paper that had stripes on them, but I tried them out and there were just too many colors and they were kind of blending in with the photos, so I thought that some brightly colored photo corners would look a little bit better. Lately, I've been trying very hard to make a dent in this scrapbook that I have for my daughter Julia. These photos were taken in 2015, so we're talking quite a few years now since the photos were taken, and I wanted to try to get this album done for her. So when I scrapbook, I'm trying to concentrate on photos from this album. Once I had all of the photo corners in place, I was thinking that I wanted to add some of these fussy cut butterflies. So I turned them all over and I cut fun foam into some thin strips. I want these butterflies popped up on the background, so I'm going to add some foam to their wings, and then I use some ATG adhesive and attach them down to the page, and I press them down in the center, and that way the wings look like they're lifted up a little bit. So right now I'm going to start by putting foam on all of the butterflies, and then after I have that done, I begin adding the adhesive to them and then placing them on the layout. In the sketch, there are flowers that make kind of a wreath around the photos. I didn't want to use flowers, but I thought that the butterflies would make sense since my daughter's outside in these pictures. And I liked the way they were black and white so that they wouldn't compete with the really brightly colored hexagons. Initially, I was going to keep the butterflies in a circular shape around the photos. And then once I started putting them down, I was thinking that I could just spread the butterflies through those hexagons. So I ended up going with that idea, and it looks a little bit more random than in the sketch. The sketch has a very nice tight composition, and I had tried putting the butterflies in kind of a circular arrangement, but they just didn't look right to me like that. So I decided that I was just going to spread them around the page. And this is my backyard. Despite being city scrapper, I don't live in the city. I live about 40 minutes outside of Manhattan, and I have gone to school in the city. I went to FIT. I used to work in Union Square, so I love the city. I have a lot of ties to the city, and when I was making my Instagram name, I thought that would be a great name. And then when I started my YouTube channel, I just carried it over. My family used to live in the Bronx, which, if you're talking about New York City, most people mean Manhattan when they talk about the city, even though there are 5 boroughs to the city, and the Bronx is one of them. And then when we moved up to where I live now, it was actually the country back then. Now it's definitely suburbs, but there was a farm down the road, and it was definitely more of a country setting. So I like both. I like being in the city. I like coming home to the country. But one thing that is not fun is commuting from New York City to the suburbs. So that's something that I gave up quite a while ago. I was thinking that it would look nice to fill in some spots with a couple more hexagons. So I had some leftovers, so I trimmed them down a little bit and I tucked them behind the photos. My title is going to be from this Fiskars pack. It says, "You are pretty great." And at first I was thinking that I should put it over the photo that's on the left. So I moved the butterflies away from that spot and then repositioned them once I had the title where I wanted it to go. I knew I was going to have to use a title that was printed on something because I had a feeling that there was just too much going on with all these different colors to use individual thickers. I just thought that those letters would get lost on this layout. And then because the color that's in the title isn't on the rest of the layout, I thought that by using a few other pieces from that Fiskars pack, I would be able to balance out the color. So I added a heart on the right-hand side and then a smaller one on the left-hand side. Now I have all of the major elements on the page, and I wanted to add a whole bunch of bling to this layout. I was thinking that for the bling, I could use the same colors that I used for the pattern papers. And so I started off with some orange jewels, and then inside my little boxes of jewels, I found that I had a number of these Queen and Company flowers. They're just little teeny tiny flowers, and I thought that these would be a good addition. I knew that I had them in a couple of different colors, so I started off with these orange jewels, and I spread them around the page where I thought they would look nice. I'm not doing tone on tone. I am just mixing all the colors together. I liked the color of those orange jewels, but they were a lot bigger than some of the other jewels that I had to put on the page. So I thought that I would switch those out, and I am adding some purple jewels where I had the orange ones. And you can see that these are quite a bit smaller than the ones that I had on there. And I don't do this for every butterfly on the page, but when I have a variety of sizes, I sometimes like to put a slightly larger jewel, or if I'm working with pearls, a slightly larger pearl on the top, and then put smaller ones down the rest of the butterfly. For each color of jewel that I add to the center of the butterflies, I also take some of the very tiny jewels and I spread them around the page. I have a couple of them mixed in with the hexagons, and then I have some of them slightly outside the hexagons. And I think that's a nice little touch and adds a little bit of all the colors all around the page. For some of the jewels, I just have individual jewels, and then for some of them, I have these strips of jewels. So for the yellow jewels, I was able to apply those a little more quickly because the very tiny jewels came in strips, and those are super easy to add to a layout. And the jewels that I'm using now are Bow Bunny jewels. I have a whole bunch of different types of jewels that I've been collecting over the years, and I don't know all the brands, but I do know that these are Bow Bunny. And I got these jewels quite a while back when We used to have Tuesday mornings in our area, and I still miss going to Tuesday morning and seeing what goodies they were going to have. I used to drive there sometimes right from work when I knew that they were getting a shipment, and I really wish that I had a Tuesday morning or another similar store in my area where I could actually buy scrapbooking materials from big scrapbooking manufacturers and actually like see the item and touch it and look at it before I purchased it. I really miss that. A lot of the big stores that I used to do a lot of shopping at have changed, so I've been buying a lot of things online when I need scrapbooking supplies, and I really enjoy that. It's very convenient, but there's just something about going into a store and being able to pick things out that I love. So I've added some purple jewels, some green jewels, some yellow jewels. I'm adding some pink jewels, and I was happy that I had the pink jewels in these little mini strips. I added the strips of jewels, and I left a little bit of room at the top, and then I added a slightly larger jewel to each of those butterflies. And then I once again sprinkled just a couple of these pink jewels around the page. But then for the photo corners, and I always like to add, or not always, but I often like to add jewels or other little embellishments to the photo corners. I decided that I had enough of lots of different colors in different places going on, so I decided to do tone on tone for the photo corners. One of my favorite colors in this collection is that lime green color, and I was really lucky that I happened to have that same colored jewel in my stash, so I used the 2 green jewels and then 2 purple ones, and then I have a slightly darker purple photo corner on the photo on the left, so I found a slightly darker jewel to put on that photo corner, and I like the way that looked with the tone on tone for the photo corners. And I didn't include all the footage, but I continued adding jewels to the layout. I added some pink flowers, and now I'm adding some of this really pretty dark blue color to 2 of the butterflies that were left on the layout, and then again sprinkling them around the outside of the layout. And then as a final touch, I got my little bottle of watered down white acrylic paint. I covered up my photo, and I added some splatters around the outside of the layout. And sometimes the white splatters aren't as noticeable as I would like them to be, but on this beautiful black background, they showed up really well. And the white splatters are the very last touch that I add to the layout, and in a few moments you will see some close-ups. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please take a look in the description box and you'll find the links to all of the other ladies who take part in a Punched Out Thursday to Die For. Happy birthday, Ronnie. We also have Dorothy, Sonia, Kathy, and everyone creates absolutely awesome layouts. I hope you'll check them out. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.